Yeah. Holy smokes, I'm no joke out the bullpen. Bringing nothing but heat, leave you hanging like clothespins. He's a beast when he goes in, ice cold frozen. The first round draft pick, #1 chosen. Drop bombs, explosion, self-promotion. And I keep shit moving like a flanker in motion. I'm the #1 spokesman, is my devotion. That I'm dedicated to the rhyme is my own notion. Brown water's the potion, it put hair on your chest. Or you can put one in the air and it'll put you to rest. Sweet dreams, I'm about to fade. I got my mind on my money and I'm dreaming about getting this all paid. Mr. Go-Getter, Mr. Assertive, Mr. Initiative, Mr. Results, man, I'm all about my business, kid. Damn.
Results and business on a suddenly not so casual Thursday evening in December. It is Thursday, December 21st, 2023, NFL Week 16, Thursday Night Football. The Shark and the Gun right here live on Sharky Waters Nation. 9 words of lifestyle. Ride the wave or get out of the water. Guns picks. What's going on, brother?
Man, we are getting close to the holiday season with Christmas coming up. We're going to be talking about a little bit of Thursday Night Football. New Orleans Saints versus the LA Rams. Also, we're going to be getting to a little bit of the Week 2 edition of the Bowl plays. A little collaboration on a couple of them. But let's talk a little NFL football. Let's get into it.
8:15 Eastern, 5:15 Pacific. Big game here, surprisingly to many. Not us. We've liked these teams all year. Saints at Rams. Both teams hot. 7-7 on the campaign. Both on a short week. The Gun opening the broadcast first half with the home team at -3.
Yeah, I'm just going to look at this. I'm going to cut this game in half. I'm going to look at the LA Rams on this side, on this one. They're sitting at -3, which kind of correlates to the full spread line. But let's talk about where these two teams come from here. So when you look at the LA Rams in the first half, right? They're ranked 11th in total points offensively, giving up actually putting up 11.8 points per game. But you look at the last 4 games, they've gotten a lot better. 15.3 points per game in the last 4 on average. But when you look at the defensive side on this one, first half points on this one, they only give up 10.9 points per game to their opponents. But in the last 4 games, 9 points per game. So this team is improving and absolutely increasing in stock value with the Rams. But you look at New Orleans on the other side of the ball here. First half points for the season, 10.3 points per game on average, but they've only put up 9.3 in the last 4 games. And then you look at their ranked 18th in the NFL in first half points, 11.8 points per game given up to their opponents, and 11 in the last 4 games. They have a -2.5 point differential in the first half. When you look at the Rams, they have a +6 point differential in the first half. This line is -4.5 in the full game. The line in the spread is 3.5 on some books. I found a -3 in Caesars before the show started on this one, and I think it correlates here perfectly. I'm not going to get backdoor on this one, so to speak. In the full game, I'm cutting it in half, and I'm going to go with the strength of what this LA Rams team has been in the last 4 games, and that is covering the first half. So I'm going to be going LA Rams first half -3, 2-unit special.
Yeah, I think you're onto something here. I hadn't gone into immense detail on this, and I've tried to avoid halves in football. Not so much because I don't like the numerical split. I love the numerical split just because of the one-off nature of these games, and you see just how much one quick play can flip the outcome. But I think you're onto something here, and I think you're onto something very specific. New Orleans this year on the road is very much pattern-driven to the polar opposite to what they just did at home going on the road. And what I mean by that is they started off the campaign at home with 3 explicit, unique non-covers against Tennessee in week 1, Tampa Bay in week 5, and Thursday Night Football against Jacksonville in week 8. Off of all 3 of those home non-covers, they came out hot on the road. At Carolina week 2, at New England, an absolute hammer outside of the division in week 6, and Sunday, October 29th, the game we had correctly, at Indianapolis. But the crucial point is this team is very much just doing the opposite of the previous week. And where do you find them off on this particular calendar date? Off 2 consecutive home covers, blowouts, 28-6 against Carolina, 24-6 against the Giants, which I should mention we had correctly both weeks. We know when to buy. We know when to sell. We've been telling you guys all year, stay the course with New Orleans. Even when everybody was getting off the train, here they are turning up. But now they have to go on the road to the Rams, who are very, very good outside of the division as a favorite in the first half. The back door will be open. I'm not going to sit here and just tout up our wins. We do lose. We did lose a bet that the Rams had against Pittsburgh in, I believe, week 4 or 5. Key point there, Rams were up 9-3 at the half before melting the game. And as I mentioned, two teams vying for playoff position, identical records, 7-7. I do suspect this game will be close in the fourth quarter. I do lean towards New Orleans getting over a field goal here for the game side, but the gun with intelligent, discerning analysis on the first half, -3. One player prop from the gun, running back, Rams, Kyren Williams, over 87.5 rush yards. What's going on here?
I think if even the Rams, if they're going to even win this game or even keep this game close, it's going to have to be on Kyren Williams' back. This team has actually been the success of this team as of late has been because this guy is in the lineup because it makes them two-dimensional and not one-dimensional. So when you look at Kyren Williams returning to the lineup after injury, he's been virtually unstoppable. He's averaged 124 yards per game on this one in the last 4 games. Then you go look at New Orleans defense against the run. They're ranked 19th in the NFL in yards per game given up on the rush, but they're ranked 27th in the league in yards per carry, giving up 4.5 yards per carry. But they played a weak schedule, especially as of late in that one. But when you look at the LA Rams, they have picked up on the rushing plays as well. When Kyren Williams was out of the lineup, they really reduced the rushing, kind of went heavy on the pass. Overall, this season, they've averaged 27 attempts per game. However, when you look at since they've gotten Kyren Williams back in the lineup, they've increased the rushing attempts, putting up 31 attempts per game. So that is exceptional. You get an extra 4 attempts on average in the rushing game with the LA Rams, and guarantee they'll be giving those carries to Kyren Williams. You're seeing the total here, and depending on what book you go to, I found this on Caesars early today. 87.5 is available. I've seen 90s, I've seen 92, I've seen 91 on some of these books. They're actually getting up to the hundreds on this one. I would jump on it now because it's just going to continue to go up before kickoff. So I'm going to be going here. Kyren Williams over 87.5 rushing yards, 1 unit play for me.
Yeah, solid analysis there. You've been doing pretty well with these props, of course, dropping props mid-season, particularly in these primetime games, which, of course, one game. We want to go into details. And I know people love the prop market. A lot of people do come from daily fantasy backgrounds, and before that, fantasy football dating back 20, 30, 40 years almost. I remember when I was playing fantasy football growing up. It is player-driven. People love to handicap players. It has never been something that I've gone into detail with as we cap the games, but I know people love that. And we appreciate you guys sharing the channel. See our guys in the chat. Bob Candyman Smokey Bet says, do not bring up that Rams-Steelers game. I won't anymore. I apologize for salting that wound. Well, why not? Ham that Ram.
It's salt on our wounds, too. It's salt on our wounds. But guess
without
what?
Question,
we always
without
recover.
Question. And, of course, the First Lady, Fallish Hound in the house. Hello there, fellas.
Gotta give her a horn,
gentlemen, and ladies. A suddenly not so casual week 16 Thursday night, December the 21st. Segueing to some college football. The Gun tonight playing Syracuse at -3. Guns, just give us some very quick remarks on that particular game.
Listen, when we made that initial cap, I'll say this about a week ago, we thought Garrett Schrader was going to play in this lineup. Garrett Schrader decided to opt out of this game. The backup quarterback situation in this one, they can go with a young guy or they can go with a virtual tight end utility knife and then run the triple option, which actually works better for a Syracuse team that likes to run the ball in this one. But Syracuse really on that element, like I said, I won't get too far into the stats on this one. They're very exceptional against non-divisional opponents. They're very good in bowl games. I know Dino Babers left the program, but the assistant coach that is stepped up into the interim role for this game, he's already 1 week in. he did beat Wake Forest in the last game of the season. So this isn't just an abrupt firing at the back half of the season. This team has worked with the coach before. They had the weeks to prep. I think this team is highly motivated here in this spot, and they're favored for a reason. When you look at South Florida on this one, not very good in bowls over historical data, and nor is any AAC team you should be backing in bowls. They have a very low hit rate as far as ATS record is concerned. So keep that in mind as we go along with the bowls. You're going to see a lot of AAC teams here come up from now to New Year's, and I think that they're fade material. We're going to fade them here today. That line is moving on the upward side towards Syracuse. That I saw 3.5 starting to pop up on the board. So if there's 3s or 2.5 still out there, please go get them now. This is a 3-unit play for me. I did explain that. I did post a video if you want to see the rest of the analysis on that one. But yeah, Syracuse is going to be the play for me. 3-unit play -3.
Yeah, and just jumping off you for a second here, I'm not officially on this, but I do think the gun is making some great comments here. If you actually go to Syracuse's out-of-conference schedule, which is very important in these bowl games, of course, because conference does play vastly differently with the rivalry year after year, even though they are in one of their first years in the ACC here. But go back to out-of-conference September football. Seems like it was 10 months ago at this point, but they did open up and go 4-0 ATS out of conference. Very impressive stuff. 65-0 against Colgate. People would say that's not impressive, Shark. That's an FCS team. The point is taking care of business, 65-0 and covering the spread. Blowout Western Michigan, 48-7. Again, taking care of business. Impressive win at Purdue in week 3, 35-20. And a 29-16 win at home against Army. So this team performs great out of conference. And the gun with an official on tonight's Boca Raton Bowl. Syracuse Orange -3, 3.5 now. Guns, let's talk a few more plays here. Let's do it with some pace as we keep this broadcast firing off on this Thursday night. Next play, we're talking out of conference yet again. Of course, yet another bowl. Air Force +3, steam down now. We talked about this last week. We love this play. Fading JMU. JMU running an extremely clean sheet. Will face Air Force with a unique rushing scheme and an official collab from both of us. Guns, talk to me on this one.
Yeah, I love Air Force in this one. I did grab it early when the Bulls lines did come out. I got it at +3. I think there's 2.5s and 2s on the board now. So I would say just Air Force is going to win this game. All right, you got to look where JMU's coming off of, right? They're having a tremendous year. They're going to their first FBS bowl game. However, a lot of change on this team. They were 11-1 straight up, 8-4 ATS this year. Air Force on the other side of the spectrum, 8 straight. They won 8 straight. They went 8-0 to start the season, but they lost their last 4 games of the year, 8-4 straight up, 5-7 ATS for the year. Air Force went 0-4 to finish the season, but that was due to losing 2 key players in that lineup. Their 2 rushing attack weapons in Zach Lanier and Emmanuel Mitchell. They were out due to injuries that happened during the Army game when they played in the another military element and what happened in that game doesn't matter. And then it killed the last 4 games of the season. They will be back for this game. They were 8-0 straight up, 5-3 ATS prior to those injuries. JMU on the other side of the ball, dealing with a lot of opt-outs and transfer portal issues. The coach left the program and their OC, the DC, and a lot of key coaches this one. But quite frankly, they had to hire 4 to 5 coaches off the street just so they can play in this bowl game. So keep that in mind when you're trying to pick on JMU. Other opt-outs you have to consider for the JMU side on this one. Jordan McLeod not going to be playing that. That is a QB with that team. And you saw last year what happened to JMU when they didn't have their starting quarterback in that position. Things fell apart for them. So there's no depth in that lineup from the JMU quarterback side. And also, they lost their top wide receiver in Elijah Sarrett, top wide running back Tyson Lawton. All these stars are projected to go with their coach in Segnetti to Indiana, which is most of the coaching staff is going to be going as well. Air Force is a run-first offense, right? 5 yards per carry on the ground, and they're facing an JMU defense that is the best rushing defense in the country at 2.1 yards per carry. However, they haven't seen a triple option before. It's a whole different element. There's a whole different type of preparation for that one. I don't think this JMU team, with the missing coaching elements in that one, and missing key players on the defensive and the offensive side are going to be able to keep up with this Air Force offense. And Air Force, obviously, typically awesome in bowls. They're 7-2 ATS in the last 9 bowl games. They're on a 4-0 ATS streak dating back to 2016. Air Force is always motivated, always disciplined in these key situations, these bowls. They matter to them. However, on the JMU side, obviously, players leaving the program, backups coming in. It's a bad situation here for JMU. Granted, they went 11-1 on the season and was arguably one of the best teams in the country in G5 perspective. But Air Force is going to be stepping up this game, especially with everybody healthy. So give me Air Force here, +3, and that is a 3-unit play for me.
Yeah, that's an alignment play. As we mentioned, we posted this on December 4th at +3.2 now. Guns detailed it. This is important stuff in bowls. You have to understand transfer portal, coaches moving, roster turnover. And as you mentioned, Air Force getting back their top 2 running weapons off a month of completely disastrous football. This is not the team that is cratering down, who is just going to finish the season like a funeral. This is the roster, and this is a bounce back where they will care against JMU team, just in complete, utter changeover and turmoil here. So we're on an alignment play, 2.5, 3 posted on December 4th. Taking a breath, segueing to next Thursday, December 28th, 2 bowls back to back, 11 a.m. and 2:15 p.m. No, it's not the Red Sox. No, it's not the Yankees. It is the Fenway Bowl and the Pinstripe Bowl. And I think not coincidentally, both featuring local colleges in these games. Boston College and Rutgers. Guns, talk to me on Boston College.
We got to be playing some Dropkick Murphy. Doon. Bam, down. Just get the Irish gig going. The Guinness is flowing there in Fenway Park. Let's get it, kid. Because we're going to be going with BC on this one. The Eagles at Fenway +11. This is a beautiful spot for them, and they're going to be super motivated versus this team that thought they'd get a better bowl as an AAC champion. But we look at SMU. They came off a great win versus Tulane, 26-14 in the AAC championship, regardless of losing their best quarterback and their best offensive production weapon in Preston Stone for that game. 11-2 straight up, 8-5 ATS for the year. But you look at BC on the other side of the coin. They won 5 out of the last 8 games of the season, but they ended up on a 3-game losing streak. They finished 6-6, straight up 4-8 ATS for the year. While on paper, I'll say this about SMU: great year, 100 plus 167 net yard average, +3 turnover ratio, +24 point differential. But they accomplished this versus the weakest of all weakest schedules. They faced the 99th toughest schedule in the country this season. Now you got to look at SMU. Who did they face that are bowl eligible? Well, I'll tell you, there was 3 teams on that list that they faced. They lost to Oklahoma 28-11. They beat Rice by 5 in a very close game in a hard-fought matchup on this one. And they beat Tulane in the AAC championship in a super high-motivated situation where they got toasted last year. So take that with a grain of salt in this one. But you look at the BC, they're battle tested. They played a very tough schedule all season long. They faced 7 bowl eligible teams this season, including NIU, Florida State, Louisville, Georgia Tech, Hughes, Virginia Tech, and Miami. Now you got to look at SMU. It has typically underperformed in bowls overall. They're an 0-3 ATS streak dating back to 2018. And SMU, both sides of the ball, their offensive production has dropped since losing Preston Stone in the lineup. They've actually only produced 71 yards below their season average, relying more on the run game than the pass. If BC can stop the run in this game, that is going to be a huge problem here for the Mustangs. I just think this is a huge motivational spot here. Double-digit favorites in bowl games are on an 11-4 ATS streak in the last 15 situations like this. You have an SMU team that is coming off an AAC championship game. They're fat and happy. They have accomplished what they needed to accomplish this season. Now they have to go to you're telling them they have to go to Fenway Park, of all places, in December, where BC is going to be playing virtually a home game in this situation. And have you seen them in a home game versus a very strong opponent? with Florida State. They're able to stay with them and almost beat them in that situation. I think this team is better than this SMU team that has not been challenged all year since, of course, facing Tulane in the AAC championship. So I'm going to take them on the plus here. Give me BC plus 11, 3-unit play, baby.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. And this is the team again. This is where you're fading high. This team's on a dub 9 coming in and just running such a clean sheet in conference versus, frankly, a lot of pedestrian opponents. The AAC this year was just purely down. Some of the better teams obviously transferring to the Big 12. Other teams losing players in transfer portal. Just to go through some of these teams, ECU was horrible this year. Charlotte is historically awful. Temple had one of their worst teams in years. Tulsa had one of their worst teams in the last 5 years, lost tons of talent. Rice is perpetually mediocre. North Texas cannot defend anybody, probably including high school teams. Tight one against Memphis, beat down a very pedestrian Navy team, and did catch the back end of what was a really hot streak for Tulane and probably their most impressive win of the season on December 2nd. As Guns mentioned, this is a brutal travel spot for a Texas team going up to Fenway Park in the cold. It will be hostile. It will be hostile on their bodies, and the emotions will be high for BC in the local Boston area. The Gun, a 3-unit special, plus 11 BC. Segueing to Yankee Stadium 3 hours later at 2:15 on December 28th. Rutgers versus Miami. Very similar stuff here. Out-of-market team traveling to the Northeast from warm weather to cold weather. Local team in the building, Yankee Stadium. Rutgers and Greg Schiano. Guns picks on the money line on the underdog.
Yeah, I love this. I call this a Tony Soprano special here because we're going to be on Rutgers on the money line versus this Miami, Florida team. I love this play. This is one of my top plays of the bowl season. Let me tell you why. Look, Rutgers, 6-6 straight up this season. They're off a 4-game losing streak, but they're losing to 4 good bowl eligible teams in that situation in Ohio State, Iowa, PSU, and Maryland. So take that with a grain of salt. 6-5 and 1 ATS for the season. When you look at Miami, they did finish the season 7-5 straight up, but performed below their expectations, right? They lost 3 out of their last 4 games of the season straight up, 6-6 ATS for the season. The key to this game is whether or not Rutgers will be able to run the ball. That is their key to sole source of production on the offensive side. They have a tremendous, great running back in Kyle Monagai. He's put up over 1,000 yards rushing this season, 5.1 yards per carry. If they can get him going, this team is going to be very successful here in this bowl game in Yankee Stadium. Miami has been known to be gashed versus the run in key spots this season. You look at the key running first offenses like Louisville, 4.8 yards per carry they gave up to them. BC, they gave up 5.5 yards per carry against them. And that was just the last 2 games of the season. So what you're seeing is you're seeing a team that has given up on the season, in my opinion. Miami will be down to their 3rd string quarterback in this game because Tyler Van Dyke has hit the portal. So the big Emory Jones is their backup. He's hurt, so they're gonna have to go with this guy Ja'Cory Brown, who hasn't had 1 snap, but actually, when he has played a little bit. He has 4.9 yards per play, 3 touchdowns, 3 INTs in 2022. So he has played in 2022, nothing in 2023. So I like this Rutgers team a lot. And then you look Miami. They are so bad in bowls. I love making money fading them in bowls. 1-9 ATS in the last 10 bowl games. Because Miami doesn't play in important bowl games, they will always let you down because they expect the highest of highs. They get to the mediocre, and then they have to play a bowl game they don't care about. So I think Rutgers, really in their first situational I'm eligible bowl game, you remember they played in a bowl game where they actually were added in because a team didn't want to play because of COVID. They only had 5 wins in that season. So this is a highly motivated Rutgers team. They're experienced in bowl games. I think they're going to get it done here in virtually their home stadium. You know, Jersey's not that far away from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. So give me Rutgers here. I'm going to throw the spread out the window. We're going to go plus 102 money line, 4-unit play, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, and I think a really interesting point here is when you look at the total, which is sitting at 40.5, You have to ask yourself what story that's telling you in terms of where the matchup will lean because of the total. It's unequivocally Rutgers. And if you really go through Miami's schedule, let's talk about 3 specific losses. And here's the key point. When Miami loses, they don't score the football. Home game against G Tech, 23-20 loss. That was a notorious loss, and I won't go any further on that. At NC State, Saturday, November 4th, lost the game 20-6. Again, notice how low that is. At Florida State the following week on the 11th, 27-20. Yes, again, low total. And then you go to their wins at BC, 45-20 versus Clemson. They put up 28, UVA 29. And previous games against Texas A&M, 48, Temple 41, 48. So just an interesting point at handicapping when you look at the total and you allow the total to tell you which side is supposed to win based on the amount of points and game flow. And that is what Greg Schiano has been doing for the past year or two as he rebuilds this program, which of course he basically brought up from the dirt back in 2007, 2008 before going to the pros. It's great to see him in East Rutherford, Piscataway, and obviously traveling up to Yankee Stadium in the Bronx on December 20th. I think the gun is onto this 100%. And the psychology of this matchup, final thing I'll say on it, absolutely valid stuff from the gun. Miami, obviously, historically, is such a big-time program. It's hard for a program like that has such massive bowl expectations in terms of the spotlight to motivate for these weekday bowls against uninspiring opponents without the spotlight, without the palm trees, without everybody looking at them. It's just lackluster stuff. So the gun, 4-unit special, bet according to your bankroll. I want to make that point because we're betting different amounts. We don't want you guys, if you're sitting on $1,000, don't throw $400 on this game and bet half your bankroll. Bet responsibly, tail the plays, but most importantly, please take care of your bankroll. Guns, picks, comments.
I want to make this frank. So I say units. So units should be 1% of your bankroll. That's pretty much how I treat it with this one. So a 4% play is a 4-unit play. A 3% play is a 3-unit play. So like that kind of correlates to what I'm doing with this one. I'm not trying to get egregious. I'm not putting a 30-unit whale plays like some other content people will do. I'm trying to be responsible on this one, but I want to make sure that I want to give the confidence level on some of these picks. So just keep that in mind. We're not trying to blow our bankroll this early on what is considered exhibition or preseason NFL plays. But we just like the looks that we take, and just keep that in mind. If you lose a 4-unit play, we move on to the next one. We just keep on moving.
Yeah, and no play should ever be any more than something you can afford to lose. And we don't say that to be negative or to put down a play, but it's just a fact. If you can't afford to lose it, don't bet it. And it is an opportunity to be responsible, intelligent, and professional with your habits so you can sustain this habit and this endeavor with us for the rest of time as we move in the present moment on this beautiful Thursday afternoon, evening in December. That's a wrap on the show. NFL Week 16, the gun dropping 3 officials, 1 collab in college, Air Force +3. The gun NFL Rams first half -3. Full details at the beginning of this broadcast. And running back for the Rams, Kyron Williams, over 87.5 rush yards. We appreciate you guys on X and YouTube dropping comments, likes, retweets to help us grow the show. We'd love to bring you guys the hype, the energy, the picks, and the conversation. Guns, picks, close them out with some words, and let's dominate.
Yeah, I'm going to bring back Saturday mornings with Guns Picks. That's going to come on Saturday. I'll see if I can get the boys back, the crew back, and Mikey M. Pimp Slap himself and Connor Mack. We'll see if we can get those guys together. We'll be talking about the bowl games. We'll talk about just the Saturday slate because we have NFL as well. I'll talk about anything you guys want to do, even college hoops. Let's bring that up. That is what that show is for. It's a full-blown conversation with the chat, and it's driven by you guys. So please join me for that one. That's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern. Saturday mornings with Guns Picks. Of course, we're going to have the Circa Million show on Saturday, 10:30 a.m. with myself, the Shark, and the Odds Fellow. Listen, if you followed our picks last week, you made a ton of money because I swept. The Odds Fellow swept, and of course, vicariously, the Shark himself only missed one. But that doesn't matter. He is the Shark, and he always rebounds off a lot. I'm just kidding. We just killed the board, all right, guys? We killed the board. So you need to follow us.
80% bounce back. We got to go 110% this week. No losses, baby. Let's go.
Listen, the trolls are just saying, it's like, you lost one, guys. I'm like, shut up. Shut up. But anyways, that is going to be the show today. Let's dominate the board. Let's cash some tickets. And as always, let's keep dancing. Bye.